Hey everyone, welcome to the first of what will probably be many, I don't know what you'd call this, a vlog, podcast, maybe we'll just call it a vlogcast since maybe it'll be a combination of the two. Honestly, I haven't really kept track of what's what and what makes them different from each other, but at any rate, here's the deal. Things are incredibly busy around here. We got a lot of stuff to say, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to tell you guys about that's coming up and going on and things of that nature. And it's very time consuming to put together videos, even the quick ones, So this is just going to be an easier way to get this information out there to you guys. And now you don't necessarily have to watch; you can just listen. But we will be able to add some video, pictures, that kind of stuff to these things. Hoping to get maybe two a month in, on top of any other videos we can squeeze in. But like I say, it's extremely busy here for us. Nothing really slowed down for us during 2020. We actually picked up in every possible way. Now, as good as that sounds to be busy during the 2020 year when so many other people were struggling and businesses were struggling, yeah, it sounds good on paper, but it can be a lot to take on. We have a family, we have full-time jobs, we have two small businesses, we've got animals, we've got a home to take care of, we've got property to take care of, and just a lot of stuff going on. So, when things just get busier unexpectedly, and then you have times like now where here we got snow on the ground, but one day it's snowing and freezing cold. The next day it's like 50 degrees and everything's a mud mess, which means that there's a good chance come March that everything's just going to break loose and we're going to go from having our lawns covered in snow to having grass that needs mowed within a day or two. And not really looking forward to that because we're not really prepared to switch gears that quickly. There's a lot of things that we still got to get done from wintertime yet, and it is what it is. But at any rate, that's why we're going to do it this way here, just to try to be able to keep things together and keep getting information out there to all you guys. It's really awesome to be able to meet a lot of you people face to face, talk through emails, phone calls, that kind of stuff. And one thing that usually ends up happening is we all end up having other things in common, and we have other stuff to talk about besides the normal stuff that you see here on this channel. So I thought this would also be a good way to start branching out into more of that stuff there, and talk about things just not really related to power equipment, but we'll see where it goes and how this progresses and go from there. So I guess the first thing we'll talk about here is what's going on here in 2021 so far. If you got around your local power equipment dealers, obviously here in the Northeast, snowblowers finally sold for the first time in a while in a lot of areas. And when I say they sold, I mean we sold out a couple times, multiple brands. So it was a great year compared to normal for snowblowers again, which was a good thing to see because honestly, I from what I'm hearing, there's quite a few manufacturers out there that were looking to just stop making snowblowers. They weren't moving enough of them. They could sub that out, slap their name on them, that kind of thing. But this is really going to help that. That's going to help keep that market alive. Rototillers, that's something that happened with them. People just weren't buying rototillers anymore. And now, who makes a good rototiller? BCS, but they're expensive. You can still get some Troy belts and stuff like that, but Husqvarna doesn't make them anymore. Since they don't make them, there goes like 3 or 4 other brands or ones that they made and put other names on. So there's big chunks of the market out there that are missing now just because the equipment wasn't moving. And again, from what we were hearing, snowblowers were on the cusp of being cut out by a couple manufacturers, just as rototillers have been. So, in addition to rototillers selling in the fall, chainsaw sales were ridiculous. Multiple manufacturers were struggling to keep up with inventory and get the stuff out to dealers. New saws coming out. Husqvarna re-released their 372 XP after they shut it down. They brought it back out, and dealers were struggling to get that because they were just ordering so many of them at one time because there was such a demand for them since they came back out that Husqvarna just couldn't keep up with all the orders going out to their dealers. So then after that, you have Echo with their CS 7310P. Now that one there was in high demand because Husqvarna had cut out that 372XP, and this was a good saw to fill that void. And because the demand was there for them, they were struggling to get them out there to dealers. They had people that wanted them right away, and they were just kind of moving across the country with a wave of them, getting them out there to dealers the best they could. But the demand was just so high on this stuff, it was insane. So now all of that from 2020 is going to affect everything here in 2021. And the reason it's going to affect that is because there wasn't much leftover inventory. A lot of these companies have warehouses that were just wiped out, and they don't have that excess to start this year with. So that's why you're not seeing a whole lot of promotions being offered right now. If you're a dealer, you're probably not seeing much from many of your manufacturers as to what the promotions are going to be in the spring here. Husqvarna's got an unbelievable one going on right now on their V554 and V548 stand-on mowers, where you can end up saving like $3,500 on one of them. But as far as like automowers, their lawn and garden tractors, even their handheld stuff, there's really no promotions out there on them right now because they just don't have the inventory ready to support the promotions like that. They actually had to cut back on a promotion in the fall for their 500 series chainsaws because they were just selling that fast. The demand was that high for them that they didn't have the excess to get out there to dealers for the promotion. And the same thing is going on with Echo too. They had the same issue where like their TC210 cultivator, that sucker there, Manus, you couldn't get Manus tillers. The TC210, which is basically the same thing as that Manus, Echo dealers were struggling to get that in because they were just selling that fast because, again, like we were just saying there's not too many companies out there that make a good rototiller anymore, and that was a great option for the price, a good reliable unit. So they wiped them out. So, of course, they're not going to have a backstock of them. That 7310 chainsaw like we talked about, really high demand for it. They came out with the CS 4910. Again, big demand with it right before it even hit the market. People were wanting it and already starting to try to buy them before they even get to the dealers. So because these companies don't have those warehouses of just, leftover equipment from last year, you're not going to see a whole lot of promotions lined up like you would normally because, number one, they don't have the equipment to just blow out like normal. And number two, they don't have to take any money off of them because the stuff's already selling. If they don't have anything left in stock and people are trying to find it, why take money off of it? They know it's going to sell no matter what. They don't have to try to buy market share or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting. A couple manufacturers that I have talked with, reps from those companies, they've told me that, they've already got product that is basically sold out for the year. Between what the dealers are getting and the big box stores are getting, it's pretty much gone. The battery-powered equipment last year during all the stuff with 2020 became immensely popular because people didn't have to go out to buy gas for it or anything. And a lot of people that, can't really operate the gas-powered equipment, they were buying the battery-powered equipment, and they were able to plant their own gardens and take care of their own flower beds for the most part. So the battery-powered equipment, that was another one there that was hit very hard. And then you got companies like Husqvarna, they're changing over now to a different version of a battery-powered leaf blower for the residential lineup and a different string trimmer. And those there, from what I was seeing, you can order them if you're a dealer. You can order them as a kit with the piece of equipment, the battery, and a charger. But the bare tool, just the equipment without the battery and charger, that stuff is on back order for months because they can't afford to take that out of the kit because they have so many dealers that are ordering the kits in to have them in stock for this year coming up. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a huge, chain reaction all across the equipment industry from last year. You're still going to be seeing that ripple effect going out. And it doesn't matter what brand it is. It doesn't matter if it's Echo, Husqvarna, Steel, um, Exmark, any of those. They were all affected by this last year. So yeah, get ready for that. And the main thing they're telling us, all the reps are telling us, is if there's something that that you're going to want at some point this year, order it now, or there's a chance you're not getting it. And it's not just a slim chance; it's a very good chance that you're not going to be able to get it. So we already all saw this last year. So it's not like it can't happen again. So take that for what it's worth. If there's something that you think you're going to need for a project, or you've got that piece of equipment that you're trying to limp on by, now's the time. Take advantage of it. Go out there and get it. Instead of deals, getting money off and stuff like that, a lot of companies, manufacturers are starting to run like 0% promotions and stuff to help consumers out buying this new equipment. So take advantage of whatever deal you can get and snatch up whatever equipment you can get your hands on for any projects that you're going to need this year while it's still available. So now on the topic of equipment that you can't get, that's on back order and those kind of things. Many of you already know this, but if you don't, here's a news flash. Briggs and Stratton filed for bankruptcy last year. That company was it was a hot mess, and it was the writing was on the wall for quite a while. Now, if you don't know, under the Briggs and Stratton name is also Ferris, Snapper, Simplicity, and a couple other brands. And what this means is when Briggs and Stratton filed for bankruptcy, those companies were all affected as well. When Briggs and Stratton couldn't pay their bills, those companies were all affected as well. So if you were a dealer, of course, you already know about all this, and you saw this coming for quite a while because there were so many parts that were just on back order and you couldn't get. And, you would get these excuses as to what was going on, and it just never got any better. So apparently they're in the process of trying to reorganize the company and everything. There was a time, I don't know where that's at now, I haven't checked into it anymore, but there was a time where they were apparently looking into selling Simplicity, Ferris, and Snapper, selling them off to anybody else, basically. But now they're, I guess, going to keep them for the time being and try to reorganize and keep those brands going. But it's kind of tough to rely on them for parts. And even on the engine side, Husqvarna, for example, they had quite a few tractors in their lineup. They were going to be coming through with Briggs and Stratton V-twins on them this year. Emails were sent out by Husqvarna later on saying that can't get those anymore. They're switching over to a Kohler. They're going to cost $100 more, but you're still going to be able to get the tractor now and have a Kohler in it rather than a Briggs, which I think, compared to that Briggs endurance engine or glorified Intech V-twin, whatever you want to call it, I think anything that you could get from Kohler in the form of a V-twin is an upgrade any day. That's just my opinion, and that's based on, my experience with them through all the years of garden tractor pulls and just what I see out there in the field and, running all the equipment that I've run and everything. But at any rate, that's just another example there of, what's going on with Briggs and Stratton. So in addition to that, I would be kind of leery of just the Simplicity brand itself and Snapper. Ferris, I think you'll be a little bit better off with Ferris just because I think that takes a little bit more priority because they are they're a big name in the commercial market. So they know the money's going to be there, the support's going to be there from the people, the customers, the dealers. So I think Ferris is probably the most valuable name that they have out of those three. Now, Briggs and Stratton did buy Hurricane blowers a while back, and they had been making some of them under the Ferris name and the Billy Goat name. I'm not sure what's going to go on there. I don't know what's going to go on with Billy Goat. So, that's all stuff you want to take into consideration when you go shopping for equipment this year. So be sure to check all that out. Now, as far as the Briggs and Stratton engines that aren't available to put in some of these these tractors and things like that, the engines themselves might not be available, but because Briggs and Stratton was making that same basic engine for so many years now, there's still a lot of parts out there for them. So on those, what I would call the cheaper V twins from Briggs and Stratton, it's not going to be a big struggle to be able to get parts for them. Air filters, oil filters, the common service parts. That stuff will all be out there and available. Cylinder heads, haven't seen any issues with cylinder heads because they use the same casting for so many different models of their engines. So no worries there. If you can find one and it's at a good deal, in a tractor or a piece of equipment, don't shy away from it based on that. I would be more concerned about the equipment side of it and being able to get the parts for the equipment. Say if you had a Snapper zero turn or a Simplicity tractor or something like that. Speaking about the Simplicity tractors, the Legacy XL, apparently that's up in the air. They have them available at dealers this year, and from what I was told, they're building them this year yet, but this is probably going to be the last year that they build them. And I can't understand why they didn't get out of them sooner, because the price you pay for one of them with a bucket loader, with a mower deck, rear PTO, it's just not worth it when you look at what you can get from Mahindra or Kubota or one of those companies, and that Legacy XL, Briggs has really just, they just kind of killed that. The newer ones, it's tough to get attachments to work with it unless you buy their attachments. So then you're paying more money for them, and it's just not a good fit for the market these days. There's too much competition now in that compact and subcompact tractor category, and Briggs and Stratton, they're just not tractor people. Engines, they can still build a decent engine. The Vanguards, they run well. Some of the other ones, they hold up very well, but tractors and zero turns, they just haven't been able to keep up with the rest of the industry. So anyway, what I was getting to there when I started talking about the Legacy is, if you've tried to order parts for one of them things, oh boy, is that ever fun. The newer ones here, it's a mess. Specifically when you get into like the front axle on one of them, who knows who made it? It could have been like one of, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 different manufacturers that made the front axle assembly for them, and they don't really know exactly where to send you to get parts. Some of them they stock, some of them they don't, and it's a disaster. It's a real disaster. So it's a shame, because those tractors at one time, those Legacy XLs, were really good tractors. We have one in our family, and it's, I believe, like a 2004, right about the time that Briggs bought Simplicity. So it was a true Simplicity. And, back then you had your choice of engines. I mean, you could get a Kohler Command in one of them things. You could get a diesel in one of them. You could get a Kawasaki liquid cooled engine in one of them, or you could get a Briggs engine in them and all that stuff. So you had a lot of options there. And that was one of the things that killed that tractor. They were overpriced, and you had no option then other than a Briggs EFI Vanguard V twin. Now, I'm not going to say that Briggs and Stratton Vanguard EFI V twin that they put in that Legacy now is a bad engine. It's a good engine, but if you're a Kohler guy, you want a Kohler. And if you're a Kawasaki guy, you want a Kawasaki. And if you're, like our farmers around here that have the big tractors and they've got the off-road diesel tanks there on the farm, you want a diesel. It's convenient for you. You want that torque. You want that entire diesel experience. And Briggs, they kind of cut their own throat there because they weren't offering that anymore. And that's the same thing they did with their regular tractors, their Regents, their Broadmoors, the Conquest. Get a Briggs and Stratton engine in it, and that is it. No more Kohlers, no Kawasaki's. Hell, they even put a Honda in some of those Simplicity tractors a few years back, and there's still people that have them out there, and they would get rid of them and buy a new one if they could buy another one with a Honda engine in it. but that's not even a possibility. And, you look at the Simplicity and the Snapper zero turns, and you see them with Kawasaki engines in it. If you're an engine manufacturer and you're building equipment and you have to put engines from your competition in there because there's so many people that prefer them, that ought to be a sign that you really need to reevaluate what you got going on there. And if you own a company like Ferris and you're not paying attention to the mowers that are being sold under that Ferris name and how many of them are going out the door with Kohlers in them, or how many of them are going out with Kawasaki's in them, compared to how many of them are going out the door with your engines in them, I don't know how you can survive as a company if you don't have that kind of data and can't see where you need to keep up with these other engine brands out there, when engines are supposed to be you're the backbone of your brand. So it's really no wonder why Briggs and Stratton has ended up where they are. Hopefully, I mean, it's a good, strong American brand. Hopefully they can recover and start building good engines again. But I think the biggest thing they're going to have to do is they're going to have to get away from the equipment. They're just not going to have the time, the money, and the resources to devote to all those equipment lines and build engines that can compete again. And now, speaking of these Briggs and Stratton engines and being able to build them to compete, they've got a lot of competition now from the foreign markets. A lot of Chinese engines out there now. MTD makes their own engine. Kohler's got a small push mower engine. And, we saw a lot of brands of push mowers go away here in the last year to 2 years. And the push mower market is just insane now. If you're a dealer anyway, it's a struggle to find a good brand of walk behind or push mower that you can actually make money on. There's just no profit in those mowers anymore, but there's a demand for them. Customers want them, and they're not willing to pay ridiculous prices for it. But it's really tough just to find them, period, because Husqvarna stopped making them, and when they stopped making them, they took a bunch of other companies out with them because they were making them for other brands as well. And, before Husqvarna just stopped making their walk behinds, they cut out their Poland brand, which was a big seller of push mowers. And then MTD, they were making them under the Craftsman name, the Troy-Bilt name. I think they were still making some Bolins yet. Of course, Cub Cadet. And they ended up cutting out their entire Columbia line because of the manufacturing issues they were running into because of the push mower market having such a shortage and everybody coming to them then because they were still making them. And it's been a nightmare with the push mowers, just trying to get them and be able to sell them and make any kind of money on them at all. But now with this problem with Briggs and Stratton supplied a lot of engines for push mowers and walk behinds here, in the United States, of course, and worldwide. So with them struggling, then even if companies were able to make the mowers, now they're running out of engines to put on them, and they've got to look to other places to get these engines for their mowers. And not only is that going to hurt Briggs and Stratton, because what are the chances going to be that they're going to go back to Briggs and Stratton and want as many engines from them again if they go back to them even at all? And then you have the push motors themselves that they can't get out there because they don't have engines on them. So that's a tough one there. It makes it tough for the dealers. It makes it tough for the consumers. It makes it tough for the manufacturers. And because of that shortage of the gas-powered mowers, it's caused an increase in the demand for the battery-powered walk-behind mowers. So, brands like Ego, Greenworks, Husqvarna, they're selling a ton of these battery-powered walk-behind mowers now. If you've ever got a chance to try one of them, they're convenient, they're quiet, they're easy to use, really good products from almost every manufacturer out there. They have one. You go into the big box stores, and then you got brands like Cobalt and Black and Decker and all the other brands that they're making these battery powered walk behinds now too. So that's one of the things that somebody brought that up to some Husqvarna reps the other day during a webinar. They asked if they were going to start making the gas powered walk behinds again for here in North America, and they basically said, "Why would we?" Um, the battery market has grown so quickly, and the demand is so high for battery powered push mowers and walk behinds, and because of how competitive the pricing is on the gas powered units, there's just really no reason to go back to it. You can still get quite a few different models of Toro walk behind mowers and Hondas and of course the MTDs, but after that it really drops off. Now on the other side of that, getting back to the battery powered walk behind mowers, if there wasn't a big demand for them, if that wasn't a hot category, do you really think you would see brands like Steel and Echo putting their name on battery powered push mowers when they're not mower companies? That gives you an idea of what's going on in this industry and just how high the demand is for that kind of stuff. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you go out here where we keep our a lot of our lawn equipment at, you'll find 3 walk behind mowers out there. One is a Poland Pro gas powered push mower with the high wheels on it. We've had that thing for years. It's got the Briggs and Stratton engine on there that just won't die. There was a video a while back that we posted with us running that around in this crazy high grass while it was raining and everything, and this thing's just mowing it up. So we got that. Then we have a Husqvarna battery powered push mower and an Ego battery powered self propelled mower. Out of the 3 of them, the Husqvarna battery powered push mower gets used the most. And the reason why it gets used the most basically is because it has a bag on it that works really well. We had some issues with the Ego one, where it would just clog up and didn't bag the clippings as well, or the leaves. The leaves are the main thing we try to collect around here. But the Husqvarna does great for bagging. Problem is the runtime's just not there for the Husqvarna like it is for the Ego. And the Poland, well, the thing still starts up, it still runs, and it does the job. So it's a little bit louder than the other ones, and it's not as easy to send the kids out there and tell them to go use the Poland as it is to send them out there and say, hey, there's the battery powered mower, go throw the batteries in it and go, mow this part of the yard. That's the big benefit of the battery powered mowers. And, I've been around to a lot of places and talked to a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that have bought battery powered mowers, but one of the cool things about them is, when you get around people that are handicapped or have special needs or something like that, and it gives them the ability to go out there and mow the lawn. It might not seem like a big deal to, the rest of us that do it all the time or have to do it all the time. But to allow these people, this was a pretty big deal because it gave them independence and it gave them ability to go out there and feel like they were accomplishing something. The other year when I first brought that Husqvarna home, that was the whole reason why I brought it home. We have kids here, and I knew it would be a struggle for them to try to start the gas-powered mower. I have no time whatsoever for gas-powered push mowers with electric start, so there was no way I was buying one of them. So this was the best option. And, at one point we had one of the kids was getting ready to go on a school field trip, and they needed some extra money for that. And I said, hey, I tell you what, this battery-powered mower's out here. I'll show you how to use it. You take it out there and, you mow this part of the yard, and I'll, give you the rest of the money you need for your field trip. She went out there. There was no way she would have ever been able to start a gas-powered mower. And she went out there on her own, was able to put the batteries in it, go out in the yard, start that battery-powered mower up, mow the entire thing, and was just as proud as could be that she went out there and earned this money for her field trip. So, it's more, there's more to the whole battery-powered equipment thing than just, whether it's good or bad or whether it's replacing gas and that kind of stuff. There's benefits to it that we don't always see and we don't always talk about. And that's one of them right there. The ability for people that can't use the gas-powered equipment to be able to still take care of their property and still be able to do stuff around their home that they need to do without having to rely on somebody else or pay somebody else to come in and do it. All right, let's switch gears here because I want to talk about the Echo power equipment that's going to be available for 2021. Just finished up a video earlier today. It was one of our, we do this thing called the Random 10, and this time it was on, 10 random pieces of equipment from Echo that they have in their 2021 lineup that you should really check out if you're in the market for power equipment. And if you haven't been paying attention to what Echo's been doing the past couple years, they have come a long, long way with their power equipment, with their chainsaws, with their leaf blowers, with their string trimmers, with all of it. For a while there, with the handheld stuff, especially with chainsaws and leaf blowers, it seemed like it was always, Steel and Husqvarna at the top, and they were coming up with, new products and new twists on this stuff to get more power out of it and whatever. And Echo just kind of followed behind, steady as they go, kind of slow and steady at some of the stuff, but over the past couple years, they have become very aggressive. They have come out with new products that are just really, really changing the game and really just snatching up a lot of market share for them. Their X series of equipment, if you're familiar with that, that's what they have as their top of the line commercial grade stuff in every category. And back when they came out with the CS 2511T top handled saw, that was a game changer right there. And that's part of their X lineup. And a lot of people laughed at it. They're like, who's going to want this tiny little thing? Now everybody wants them. It's a lightweight saw with a good bit of power. And dealers have no problem moving those things now. Since the word's got out there and a lot of arborists are using them, that's all you got to do is when somebody picks one up and they mock it and make fun of it, let them run it. And they're going to be blown away by what they get in that little package there. And it's an easy sale. Now, after that, they started following that same trend with a lot of their other equipment. Make it lighter weight and add more power to it. And they've been doing that with everything. I remember the old, the PB250s, the PB250LN, I think. They would sell them for $169.99 regular price here in the United States. And when they would go on sale, that $20 off, instant rebate, they'd sell for $149.99. Everybody would come in and buy them. Then they came out with the PB2520. More power, just an all-around better leaf blower than those PB250s. They dropped the price to $149.99 all the time. And that's just an easy sell right there. So then they took all that a little bit further, and they had the PB2520, and at the same time they still had the PB255LN, which is their low noise option. But that thing had some weight to it, right? If you ever ran one of them, the power wasn't really all that great compared to the new PB2520, but it had higher airspeed because it had that duck-billed nozzle on it and everything. So Echo jumps up the game again, and they come out with their PB2620 blower, which comes with the open tube and the flared duck-billed tube. So now you have a high CFM or you have a high airspeed, and you're getting this for the same price as that PB255LN. It's got a better air filtration system in it. It's part of their X series. That thing has a ton of good qualities in it. and it sells for $200. So again, they made more power, lightened it up, just give you a better option. Backpack leaf blowers, they came out with that 770 a while back. It was an improvement for their lineup, but it just never was really competitive with, the Husqvarna 580 BTS or the Red Max equivalent of that, or some of the bigger backpack leaf blowers that Steel was putting out. Then they come out with the PB8010, and then it got serious because then they gave all those companies some real competition, and Echo went after it. I mean, they went right out there in the market, and they're like, this is it. We've got the biggest and baddest. So when all those other companies came back and were like, well, ours uses less fuel. Ours has this that's better. Ours has this that we think is slightly better. Echo basically said, okay. And they went back to the drawing board with that 8010, a year and a half later, and reintroduced it as the PB 9010 and just completely distanced themselves from all the competition. That PB 9010 is now putting out like 48 newtons, and everybody else is still down around 41 or less. It's just unbelievable what they did there. And that carbon fiber frame makes that thing nice and light compared to a lot of the competition as well. Chainsaws, they have come out with several models of chainsaws now over the past couple of years, in addition to that CS2511T, that have just been they've been real game changers, and they've been a big key to Echo gaining a lot of market share. They've done the job really well. They just came out with that CS3510, which I'm still blown away by that thing. It's such a lightweight saw. It's got plenty of power. I mean, if I was going to buy a saw on a budget, that thing with a 16-inch bar, there's no way I'm buying the CS310. I'm jumping right up to that CS3510. I think I would even take that CS3510 over the CS400 and the CS4510. And I've talked to some other people that ran that CS3510 and the CS4510, and I wasn't the only one thinking that. And I'll just leave it at that. Then you jump up to the CS4910 that they just came out with. Huge improvement over the CS490 that it's replacing. And as you've seen in the video there that we have comparing it to the CS501P, not a lot of difference there, huh? Yeah, we get the guys that argue, well, that 4910, it's not a pro saw. The 501P is the pro saw because it's got a P in it. Okay. I have it, but for $100 less, if you're not relying on it every day, how can you go wrong with that deal on that 4910? You really can't. You just really can't go wrong with that. Good power, great price, 5-year warranty for consumers. That is a huge deal. You got the CS. The CS590. I was drawing a blank there. The Timberwolf. There's not another brand out there that can compete with that as far as the price and the power of that saw. And by leaving it at that price, they're basically just eating up market share with that saw. When people get it out there and they run it, they love it. They tell all their friends about it. Their friends go out and buy them too. That's a saw that's going to dominate that market for quite a while, because it's going to be tough for another brand to build a saw to compete with that saw on the same level of power and price. And then you have the new powerhouse in the Echo chainsaw lineup, the new CS7310P. And I love hearing the conversations about this 7310P from Echo. And the reason why I love hearing these conversations is because there are those diehards that have a fit that there's no way, just no possible way, that this 7310 could be replacing the 800P. Just can't do it. The 800P is just too powerful. No way this 7310 is more powerful than the CS800. The great thing about that is Echo advertises it. Echo does. They advertise this 7310 as the most powerful chainsaw they have ever sold in North America. Was the 800P sold in North America? Yeah. So then obviously the 7310P is more powerful than the 800P. Echo even flat out says the 7310P has 13% more power than the CS 800P. But they will still argue with you that there's just no way. No way it could be better than the 800P. No way it could have more power than the 800P. Echo, the manufacturer of the saw, is telling you that it is more powerful and a better saw. So I'm not sure why those arguments still go on, but it's great to listen to them. The other thing about the 7310P is, like all this other equipment that Echo has launched, not only did they give it more power, but they made it lighter weight. 2 pounds lighter than the CS 800P. It looks better. It has a better style to it. So lighter weight, better looking, and more power. How can you go wrong with that 7310P? And for the price of it, why are you arguing against it? If somebody else is out there and willing to buy your 800P, sell it as quick as you can and go out there and get a 7310P. That's the best advice I can give you. I'm not going to say that the 800P was a bad saw. Of course it wasn't. But the 7310P is just a better saw. And everything, including the manufacturer, including Echo, is telling you that. That's not an opinion. It's coming straight from the people who build those saws, that it's a better saw. So just like the CS4910 that I mentioned, they say, Echo says, that it is the lightest saw in its class, and that it has, I believe it's like, 20%, 22% more power than the 490 that it was replacing. The CS3510, supposedly the lightest saw in its class, and more power per weight than all the other saws in its class. So again, that's their thing right now. They're making everything lighter weight, and they're making it more powerful, and they're giving you that 5-year warranty right off the shelf. You don't have to buy anything extra, and they have really just improved their product lineup immensely. I just can't say enough about what they've got going on, and you really need to pay attention to them and look into what they've got to offer now. Now, if what I was just telling you about the stuff going on with Echo and their lineup of power equipment for 2021 has you interested in buying some Echo equipment or checking out some Echo equipment, get out there to your dealer, your Echo dealer, and talk to them about this equipment, check it out. But be sure to ask them if they're going to be running a one-day sales event here in the spring. A lot of Echo dealers qualify for that through Echo, and that gives you the ability to go in there and buy some equipment at a discounted price for one day only. So, if you're in the market for equipment, everybody loves to save money. Just go out there to your dealer, check it out now, but ask them about that so you can come back and take advantage of that deal and get yourself a good piece of equipment at a little bit better price without having to stand there and haggle for hours and hours over it. Well, I think I packed about enough into this episode here, so we'll get ready to wind us down here. As always, if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them here on the video or send us an email to eshlemaniatv@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. Just like with the automowers, when we would get a bunch of questions, we'd get the same questions over and over again. We'd be able to put out the videos showing how to solve this or that or explain whatever was going on. So feel free to do that again if there's something you want to hear about or something you want to know or something you're looking for. Shoot us an email and give us all the information there, and we'll do what we can to help you out or to answer your questions and give you some feedback. We really appreciate all your support, and if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this channel. I think that's about it. So thanks for listening, watching, or however you paid attention to this. And keep following along and check back in for the next episode. Until then, have a good one.